A CRN original.
Attention, you are about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You have heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to unite the America he loves.
That job's filled.
Unique. Brilliant. And unpredictable. Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Yes, okay, we're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help unite America, the America that made his dreams come true.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Robert Davi Show.
Bond. James Bond. Shaken, not stirred. Critical race theory taking over in America, invading our educational process. We've talked about it yesterday. We're talking about it again today. Because until parents get together and ban, we need a parent organization that's nationwide, connecting all the dots, all the parents that feel critical race theory is a threat to the United States of America. And I'm not talking about being sensitive to racism and to bad behavior. I'm talking about capturing the minds of the youth. Now, education process in America has been hijacked for years. I've talked about it for years. I've written about it for years. We do a good job of having an Earth Day, and children are understanding of the cause and the reaction of pollution. Of pollutants. We've done a good job having that, but we haven't done a good job in terms of pride in the red, white, and blue. And I think that I know my own daughter years ago came home, my 20-year-old, and she said, "Dad, I'm ashamed of being white." I've said this before, but I can't say it enough. She must have been about 9 years old. "Dad, I'm ashamed of being white." Now, where did that come from? What teacher put that in her head? Now, if we teach the history of America and the world, we have to be honest about everything. We have to be honest about, and we don't. Now, when I grew up, I remember having, I learned about slavery, the horrors of slavery, the repulsiveness of slavery. But then I read about how we banded together and the North fought the South, and how over 700,000 men died fighting to free slaves. And then the issues that were lingering on from all of that, because don't forget, there was a portion that didn't agree with that, and that there may have been a holdover in that, a holdover of resentment toward the North defeating the South. Let's not deny that that could have been an issue. But then we moved on in decades, and we had Jim Crow, and we had segregation, and we had all of these laws and all of these terrible things that separate us as a people. But who was the party in charge? Who was the party in charge? The Democratic Party. Let's tell the children the truth. Let's tell the inner cities the truth. The Democrat Party kept you enslaved. They kept us separated. It wasn't the Republicans. They wanted to free the slaves. They wanted us to all live e pluribus unum. And yet, there's a continuing drumbeat by the left against conservatives, against the GOP. Now, no party is innocent. I'm not hearing any music, guys. We got to get this music thing right. We got to pull it up and get it in there. Do what we can. Find beds that hit it right away, that don't take 20 seconds to come alive. Or if they do, find it where you can go one into another. So we've got to sit down with these beds and then edit them together so they flow nicely. I like to have music underneath of my what shall I say it, my stream of consciousness on an issue, as opposed to having prepared statements. I have subjects I want to talk about, things I want to talk about with all of you, and I want to be able to communicate so we can find common ground. Because that's what it's about. It's not about separating us. I don't want to continue to bash one side, but the truth is the truth. I guess sometimes based on who's looking at the truth or what side you're looking at. But any of you out there, again, it was the Democrats that created and wanted slavery. Now people say, well, the Democratic Party changed. They changed into something else, and now that it's the Republican Party, and you know, there's nothing wrong with faith, with God, country, patriotism. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm here in the South with my family, and I'm watching. I'm interacting, I'm looking at people. And I see black and white working side by side. And I don't see a lot of the hatred. Now that's particular to where I'm at, I'm sure. But hatred is taught. Hatred is taught. A child doesn't hate. It's been proven that children don't see color. But why are we teaching it in school to see it? There's a big mistake. Music up, please. All right, when I don't hear the music, I don't hear it. There's a big mistake of us not trying to unite each other, to looking past color, race. We have all these special interests, the LGBTQ community, the trans community, all these communities that we're splitting us up from each other in the gaze of, or the guise of giving everyone respect. But what we're doing is we're disrespecting each other. There's more disrespect out there, and the politicians. You know, Spike Lee said the world is run by gangsters recently at the Cannes Film Festival. And yeah, but you know, he just wants to say that there's one type of gangster. Just the gangster on the conservative side, not the gangsters that are on the left. Spike, there are gangsters on the left. And unless you admit that, Spike, you'll never help bring people together. You can complain about the Orange Man all you want. He complained about the Orange Man. He calls him Agent Orange, meaning Donald Trump. And how can Donald Trump have the respect of a George Floyd or a Herschel Walker or a Don King or a Ben Carson or Dr. Pastor Scott or Bruce Lavelle or Alveda King? How can he have the respect of a lot of the pastors, a lot of individuals, Bob Woodson? How could he have the respect of Thomas Sowell? And then have the absolute disdain by those on the creative left that want to bring down America. They are the ones that are a danger to this country. This country is in danger. The Marxist culturalists have got it by the throat. They know it, and they're going for it. So we need parents across the country to wake up. We need you to wake up. We need you to not accept the behaviors of teachers that want to have critical race theory, that are trying to separate us, continuing to separate us, so that my 9-year-old daughter comes home and says, I'm ashamed being white. She could say I was ashamed of hearing about the atrocities of slave owners that the Democratic Party did and slave owners did. She could come home and say that. Why don't we, there are things we're not taught. We're not taught the history anymore, the true history, because I remember slaves were brought from that. I remember reading the textbooks. They were more measured. They were more fair. They were equal in a certain way. Now we're demonizing just whites. And it's in vogue to denounce your whiteism, to denounce your brownism. It's in vogue. You're celebrated if you shout out your disdain for being white. I never had white privilege, nor did any of my cousins, and they're hugely successful. There was no white privilege that I experienced as an Italian American. And I'm sure many of you out there in the Ozarks, or wherever you might be, Appalachian. So it's a lie. It's an absolute disgusting lie that's perpetrated by the left to strangle America, to take it down. And unless parents lead the people, unless we say we've got to stop it, we've got to have fairness and truth and dialogue. Demand dialogue. We need to demand honest dialogue. Perhaps a symposium. The politicians are not going to do that because they like splitting us up. I'll be back in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Did you know withdrawing your cash from the bank can be very risky? That's right. So please listen up. Are you aware that banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any behavior they think is suspicious? It's true. I was shocked as I read Swiss America's blockbuster report, The Secret War on Cash. This new war against cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. Listen to me. You must read The Secret War on Cash. Now get your free copy by calling 866-219-3750. That's 866-219-3750. Or visit SwissAmerica.com. This war on cash is growing daily and also includes all forms of digital money. So please, get ahead, read The Secret War on Cash free to every Robert Davi fan today by calling 866-219-3750. That's 866-219-3750. And then you'll thank me later.
Fred Dreyer here. Join me at the Ramp Bar and Grill in Burbank, California. Now open with indoor dining. Monday through Thursday, noon to 9, Friday, noon to 10, and Saturday, 4 to 10. Happy hour weekdays from 2 to 7 p.m. It's the home of the $5 margarita, by the way. Start with mouth-watering charbroiled chicken nachos. The best cheesy garlic bread in town, steamed clams and delicious soups and fresh salads. The best burgers in town. And steaks? Oh, you bet. Yum. Ribeye, filet, even prime rib. Italian specialties too. Ravioli, linguine, capellini, pomodoro, chicken parmesan, and a lot more. Save room for desserts too, including homemade cheesecake. It's the Ramp Bar and Grill, 7730 North Hollywood Way, minutes from Burbank Airport. Call 818-768-6499. Takeout and Postmates delivery too. Open Mother's Day from 1 to 9 p.m. Reserve your tables now. Call 818-768-6499.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Actor, actor, director, singer, and father, Robert Davi.
Would you welcome my friend Robert Davi?
Robert Davi is with me now from LA. Robert Davi.
So, to wrap up, because I can't tell you how important this is in our nation for parents to come together. I was talking about the critical race theory virus that's going across in all the teacher unions across America. I mentioned yesterday's show that the major teachers unions and more teachers are being encouraged or being said that they can teach critical race theory even if it's a silent nod. And we want sensitivity. Human beings are like that. Children will be sensitive. We're all sensitive. We see children, no matter what color they are, and our hearts go out. And we can see adults that have different kinds of energy, whether they be white, black, Asian, Hispanic. And we're off-put, aren't we? I don't care what color you are. Someone that has a certain kind of, gives you a certain feeling. You know, we all have instinct. We all have a certain kind of sixth sense about danger, don't we? Flight and flee. We have that. That's ingrained in us. So when we see someone, when we sense danger or something, it's not about color. It's about a different kind of energy. That's what it's about. It's not about color. It's not about race. It's something else. And what should be taught in school is our oneness, not our separateness. What should be taught in school is our acceptance of each other, not at the punishing of another sect or not. A kid could wear a Christmas shirt. He could wear pink. And if he wants to wear a cross, he should be able to. He shouldn't be punished for that. He shouldn't be looked down on. And educators are doing that in the schools. They're allowing certain things and they're not. We've got three. I talked about it yesterday. The Democrat Socialist Party of America. It's got several members in our Congress. That's who Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib. That's the banner they used to get in office on. And if they're the ones getting in office, how many more? And what is their agenda? There's a different agenda. Are we going to go the way of a European socialist nation? Or are we going to stay true to what America was founded for and why people came here in droves? You know, I read something now, the Statue of Liberty is looked at as something else now. There was some writer, some major Pulitzer Prize winning writer, that now is criticizing the Statue of Liberty. So are they going to take that down? Is that going to be attacked next? Along with Teddy Roosevelt? All the symbols of America are being ripped apart, ripped down by Marxist terrorists. And we can't say it. Our tongues are stapled to our foreheads. In fear, the Hollywood community rallies around this. And in fear, the sheep, we babble along, following, wagging our little tails. It's sad to me. The individual is what America stands for. The meritocracy of an individual being able to rise up among many, to take the will and the ability to succeed and the excellence. That's what matters in life. The ability to succeed in life. All these politicians, all these shows, they talk about issues that are dragging us apart, finding out what's going on. Well, we should investigate more things. We should come together on more. We should demand of our politicians to stop. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Trump, I don't care who it is. We've got to stop pulling us apart. Uniting us is what's important. Or we're going to have a revolutionary war. We're going to have a second revolutionary war. I've been very prescient in my analysis of America over the last several decades. And I have friends of mine say, no, we'll never have that. That'll never come to that. And I shake my head. I go, that's such a bad excuse for not changing things now, for not fixing things now. They think it could never happen? Really? There's a boiling point. You know, the UK stopped boiling. It's against the law now to boil lobster. And I remember when I was a kid studying with Stella Adler, Stella Adler was one of the greatest acting teachers of all time, tall, beautiful, blonde. Her father was Jacob Adler, her mother was Sarah Adler. They were the heart of the Yiddish theater, the Adlers. They went from Odessa to London to Henry Street Settlement in the Lower East Side of New York. And her father brought the classics to the Yiddish theater for the first time. Tolstoy, The Resurrection, King Lear. Magnificent artists. And Stella was, and she had a brother Luther and Jay and Cecilia. And Stella Adler, excuse me, this table I'm on is so loud. Stella Adler was a magnificent woman. And she was a star in her own right on Broadway. And then she met Harold Clurman and married him. And Harold Clurman started the group Theater in America. Why am I talking about this? The group Theater in America was an outpouring of artists that respected what was happening in Russia at the turn of the 1900s with Konstantin Stanislavski. He was the great Russian teacher, brilliant guy. He observed great actors and he took from them, he distilled from great acting what he thought was needed, and he started to experiment to create a unifying theater company of these great acting individuals that could no longer act but actually incorporate, can be. And America was affected by this. All the artists in America were affected by this Russian Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution and the absolute compelling musician and Eisenstein with film, and Solzhenitsyn. I mean, this whole thing was exploding in America. And so we adapted, or they adapted in the 1930s and created Shel Crawford, Lee Strasberg, and Harold Clurman, the group theater. And Stella Adler was a part of the group theater. Johnny Garfield, French Octone. We don't know these names, but they were stars in the 30s and 40s. They were huge influences, and great writers like Clifford Odets and many others. And they started the group theater. And they were affected not only by Stanislavski's principles of acting, but the socio-political aspect of Russia. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
This is Robert Davi. Allow me to introduce you to the most trusted name in precious metals, Swiss America. Since 1982, they've been helping Americans protect their wealth from dangerous government spending and runaway debt. Now, it's no secret gold and silver prices have rocketed over the last decade. With all of the rising uncertainty, experts say precious metal prices are headed much higher in the months and years ahead. Now, to help protect my fans, Swiss America has a very special offer. Swiss Walking Liberty $half at the amazingly low price of $12.50 each delivered. That's right, $12.50. So call now, reserve your silver coins at 866-219-3750. That's 866-219-3750. Silver Walking Liberty $half from Swiss America for just $12.50 each delivered while supplies last. Again, 866-219-3750. 866-219-3750. Do it today.
You earn Order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Tired of lockdown? Let the reconnect begin. You belong here. Welcome home to the magic of Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California. Check out our new spacious outdoor dining al fresco. Romantic. Market lights. It looks like a movie set. Dine under the stars and enjoy our tasty Angelo's and Vinci's pizza, pasta, seafood, chicken, salad dinners, and more. In the cool of the evening, come enjoy our award-winning menu, new wine list, specialty cocktails, like our peach Bellini martini, appetizers, and more. Angelo's and Vinci's now open every day from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. for relaxing outdoor dining. No reservations needed. Just come on in for delicious Italian food. Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante, 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton. Call 714-879-4022. We're going to need a lot of pasta to get through this year. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton today.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA.
No.
To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Robert Davi.
Magic is not a game of tricks for children. I know a lot of cool tricks.
So, what we had is the group theater in the 1930s that was created by Harold Clurman, Cheryl Crawford, and Lee Strasberg. Stella Adler, one of the great actresses, she taught Marlon Brando. She was part of this group theater, and they learned all these techniques. She then subsequently went to study with Stanislavski in Russia. And Stella talked about how, well, the political climate in Russia at that time, there were communists. Communism was the new, it was a new song. It was a new song for the masses. And the artist has an openness and an availability. For instance, there's that term, bleeding heart liberal. I don't like that term because it connotates, it's a negative connotation, a bleeding heart liberal, as if we don't all have bleeding hearts. All of us have bleeding hearts, conservatives, liberals. I'm an independent. We see tragedy. We see the tragedy in Florida and the death. We see what happened with George Floyd. We see whatever happens to a fellow man, no matter where in the world. And we have an outpouring of affection in our hearts. It's a natural impulse, unless you're so cold-hearted that you don't have this. But we have this. So we can't separate, we can't hate. But you see, the Marxists understood that to separate people through culture, through skin color, through background, through different ideology. They can separate you and then capture you. And it's astounding to me. So the Hollywood community was at the forefront, or the theatrical community, and all the great writers and all the great, and they infiltrated education. This is what they did. They infiltrated education and the media and culture. So now we have this turning point where the next little thing, the next little hotbed of being able, and I know some people, some directors that say, watch out, white man, and they're being white, watch out. Brown and black are coming. And I go, what the heck is that about? Why would this guy want to have this kind of divisiveness? Why would he want to create, for innocent kids, a culture of hatred against the white man now? Well, I don't get it. Is it to get back at what happened 500 years ago, 300 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago? I understand there are bad people. There are bad people. There are bad cops, and there are criminals, and there are bad husbands and wives and children and sons in every race, religion, color, and creed. So to separate us over something, we've got to have dialogue. We've got to have educators, and I'm not equipped at this. I'm not equipped at being able to, but I can talk about it, and I would draw it out of people. I would like to have some kind of symposium, because parents have to unite. Parents must unite. That's the future. That's the future. I wrote a poem one time in Italian and in English with another poet, Italian poet called Marlon Brando, who died in 1982. And the poem was, I speak to the children, the ones who are pure. For they are the future, the key to it all. Our vision has darkened. Our way has been lost. It's they who must lead us back on the course. Imagine a world of love and hate. Imagine a world of love and hope. A world without hate. A world when nothing separates the spirit of man. No national boundaries invented by greed. The world is awaiting for love as the creed. I speak to the children. Who are pure, for they are the future, the key to it all. Just look all around you, my dear friends. Please open your hearts. It is but the lie of tyrants few that keep us apart. Imagine a world of love and hope, a world without hate, a world where nothing separates the spirit of man. National boundaries invented by greed. The world is awaiting for love as the creed. Now, I wrote that in 1980, 1981. I had a bunch of followers. I mean, many followers. And I developed an idea, and this is before Live Aid, before Comedy Relief, before any of this. And the world was in a bit of a turmoil at the time that I recall. Late 80s. You know, the Cold War was still going on, and we were making progress, and I thought to myself, I says, how great if we could have, if all the networks, and there were only a few at that time, NBC, ABC, CBS, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we could have a night in celebration for the spirit of man, the greatness of man. not the differences of man, not the hatred of man, but the special, the unique, the beautiful things, both nature and man-made, that we have in this wonderful world. And I envisioned a night that all three networks would be the Sistine Chapel donating their night for the world. And there'd be parks that would have these huge screens all over the world. And for one night, the world would stop. Just one night, the world would stop. And what would happen? Well, I envisioned, let's just take master artists of the world, like a Pablo Casals, the great cellist, or a Meryl Streep, or Rudolph Nureyev, who was alive at the time. And take these great artists, and they each do an interpretation of some great work of art, whether it be a poetry reading, whether it be a Shakespeare, whether it be a piece of music, or painting, or whatever. And then there would be messages from each of the world leaders, man-made, each of the world leaders and religious leaders of the world. Join us in celebration for the spirit of man. And then the wonders of the world throughout the world, all of the great wonders of the world to be shown on screen. And I just envisioned this unifying aspect. You know, I guess it was like the John Lennon Imagine. But I wanted this happening for a moment. And we had followers, and I went to Universal. And I went to Frank Sinatra, Jilly Rizzo, and I wanted he and Luciano Pavarotti to sing the song that I had written in Italian and in English. And I called up the children's choir of UNICEF. And I wanted, in conjunction with UNICEF, to have this whole evening. And I went up the hill to Universal. And then it was, I didn't have clout. I wasn't I wasn't a Quincy Jones. I wasn't someone of that nature that could do that could pull that off. Because you needed to have you had to have masterful, wonderful artists to do this. And they said to me, it's a great idea. Can you make it a TV series? And I thought about it, I laughed to myself, and I said, okay, I'll get back to you in a week. When I come back, I'll tell you what the series was.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
When you really want Italian food, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Citizens, no need now to clamor for culinary gustatorial delights. Dreams do come true. Columbo's has triumphantly reopened its golden doors to feed the famished and soothe the savage beast. Bask in the delights of Columbo's succulent steaks, Neptune's superior offerings from the 7 seas, Columbo's family Italian specialties, and of course, their world-famous meatballs, and it's all so affordable. Yes, Columbo's, the 9th wonder of the world, the Southern California pantheon dedicated to unrivaled and unparalleled yum-yum. Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, mangia bene.
Now it's time for MedVed's Entertainment Minute.
Just in time for the 4th of July, there's a big new animated spectacular that gives a decidedly cockeyed view of early American history. It's called America, the Motion Picture, now streaming on Netflix.
I'm George Washington. Ding dong! It's America, motherfucker!
Did you practice that line in the car on your way here? Yeah, it's rated TV mature with incessant F words and some nearly pornographic scenes of cartoon sex. The ridiculousness of the whole project provides fleeting moments of amusement, but no insight, no real emotion, and the frequent evocations of the Avengers series get tedious and tiresome. The splashy animation and the vocal talents of Channing Tatum, Olivia Munn, Judy Greer, Simon Pegg, Andy Samberg, and more are better than this material deserves. 1.5 stars for America, the Motion Picture. The patriotic thing to do? Stay away.
The Robert Davi Show.
You know, I think if I threatened to kill people, if they didn't eat your cookies, they still wouldn't eat them. You know what I think of your cookies? That's what I think of your cookies.
Oh, come on, they showed that Tracks thing. Are we on, Jeremy? So anyway, you know what I think of cookies? That's what I think of cookies. That happens to be the biggest explosion of internal gas in a film in the history of cinema. It was from a film called Tracks that I did with Shadow Stevens. He was a great radio personality. And Shadow is, anyway, so, yeah. I'm surprised you can find the clip on YouTube. Tracks, I forget what cookie scene, just explosion or something. I'll show you later on. My cousin's here with me now. You can only hear one side. You can't hear the music underneath. There's actually music underneath the show. But I was talking about the spirit of man and how I created this evening in celebration for the spirit of man. And then when I saw this is 1982, before Live Aid, before any of these things, and I wanted to see the airwaves to become an absolute, the Sistine Chapel, leading man to a brighter future of unity. So you heard that segment. And then I took it to the execs at Universal, way up the top. And they, can you create a TV series? Which I did. And what the series was, and don't forget, this is 1981, 82. The Spirit of Man. A weekly show where you would have a host, let's say Gregory Peck. He was alive at the time. I wanted someone with weight, someone with stature and dignity. And I chose Gregory Peck to be the host. And each week, Gregory Peck, or an Anthony Quinn, or someone of that stature would give, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spirit of Man. Tonight we're going to Greece, ancient Greece. And we're going to meet with the great scientists of Greece, the great chef, the agricultural. So the idea was, I read Alvin Toffler's book, The Third Wave, in high school. And I read, there was a paragraph or a scene where it said from the agricultural age, we're going to the technological age. And this is the night. Now, Alvin Toffler wrote Future Shock, kind of what's happening now with media. And what happened was, reading that book, he had mentioned something. He says, imagine if, and it was unity for the world. He says, imagine if Israel would share with the Middle East the agricultural techniques, or if in Serbia they had the latest advances in whatever they were doing scientifically, and there was more coders. This is before the internet, don't forget. This is way before the internet. So I wanted to, before it went, where everyone can have it. I wanted to create this, I created this TV show, The Spirit of Man, whereby you would go to ancient Greece, you would have the narrator, which would be a Gregory Peck kind of person, and then you would have an artist, whether it be a Nureyev or back then, it could be whoever it was. You probably don't know who these artists are, but let's pick somebody today. Leonardo DiCaprio or a Jennifer Aniston. And she was going to do an interpretation of Medea, an ancient Greek classic. But to better understand and her creative process, you would follow her And she would then meet with the scientists and the cuisine, learn the food, the history, and you would travel through Greece through this creative process, through wanting to create a work of art, whether it be a piece of Greek music, or let's just say it was Hungary, and you had a great Hungarian musician that wanted to interpret, or Russia or Moscow, but go through the countries, China, Japan, and you would learn about the greatest advances in scientists, and each episode could be, it may be 6 episodes through a country. It could be 3, it could be 7, whatever it would be. And I think Anthony Bourdain did something like that with food, and then he talked culture and politics. But this was really talking to the greatest, the scientists, the scientific advances. And I called it The Spirit of Man. And at the end of the episodes, if it took 6 episodes to get through Greece, or 9, or 10, or 3 for Sicily, whatever it is, at the end of that arc, you would see now the creative presentation of that artist. Whether it was Jennifer Aniston, or Meryl Streep doing Medea, or DiCaprio doing Hamlet, or King Lear, or or Pablo Casals doing a wonderful symphonic quintet from Beethoven or Bach. And then you would have this, just imagine that. So that was 1981, 82. 1981, 82. So when I tell you I have my pulse on things, and I've had it for years, you have to listen to me. You have to understand. People, they diminish an actor's understanding of the world in a lot of ways. And in some ways they should. As I said, the bleeding heart liberal is a person who, and I say we all have bleeding hearts. Every one of us. There's no bleeding heart liberal. Human beings are affected by other human beings, and animals, and life, a beautiful sunset, a piece of music, a great performance, and a great athlete, whatever it might be, a great work of art. So this critical race theory is trying to tear our humanity apart. And parents must unite. They must unite. I'm hoping to come up with a name of an organization that we can go statewide, from across the country to unite this attack on America's uniqueness of e pluribus unum. And that's going to be my piece of my current passion right now. Now, let's move on from that, and let's think about Afghanistan for a second, and the Biden administration and their decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And look, I don't know the geopolitical. I have no idea. I don't. I haven't been there. But I'm going to explain some stuff to you. The U.S. intelligence assessment has concluded that Kabul will fall to the Taliban as soon as 6 months after the U.S. military pullout is completed this summer. 6 months. How long were we there? How long were we there? How much money and blood did we lose? And it's 6 months after we leave. What is the game? The U.S. purchased armored Humvees in Taliban hands. This is going to be a gas. The Humvees in Taliban hands. Humvees we bought are in the Taliban's hands, and they say this is going to be a gas, a T-55 tank. The main road from Kabul to Ghazni under Taliban control right now. Afghanistan is gone. The intel is the Taliban, has stated 9/11/2021, 20 years to the date, all foreign forces, particularly U.S., will be considered occupying forces and there will be consequences from the Taliban. Now, food for thought. The strike could be from Afghanistan to Dubai. They have planes, 767 actually, which look like interesting, flying into the Burj Khalifa. The Biden administration has been so inept. So inept. I hope to give you a story where I can illustrate this to you. A small group of intelligence officials had the opportunity to purchase. A small group, listen to me, of intelligence officials had the opportunity to purchase the Afghan telecommunication system, which included phone, fiber ring. The group, working with members of the Karzai government, planned to place a well-known Afghan national in charge of the operation. Do you realize the benefit to the U.S. and the world intelligence programs would have constant monitoring of Taliban and other militant organizations throughout Afghanistan? Also a link into the Iran through the telecom system. Do you know what the officials were told? The president doesn't care about things like that, or the benefits. He wants to get out of the country fast. This was in 2011. And the price for that telecommunications, $145 million.
I live in the street,
and
the house,
it's going to fall. September 11th, 2021. The Biden-Obama administration. And now Biden is following that path.
The church, the school, the clubhouse.
I said earlier, Spike Lee said that our country is run by gangsters. The world is run by gangsters. He just said it at Cannes Film Festival. Who are the gangsters? No one is innocent. Thank you for listening. I'll see you and speak to you tomorrow. I'm not sure what about, but it'll be interesting. Because who knows what happens in 24 hours. Maybe it's about the massive amount of jellyfish that are massing in Rhode Island. They're having some kind of conference. I don't know. God bless all of you. God bless America. This is Robert Davi. See you tomorrow.
Are you tired of your favorite talk show sounding like this? What if you can hear your favorite talk shows in crystal
clear, high-definition sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio, 7 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in true CRN high-definition audio. The difference is amazing.